Well guys, it's a little earlier than I thought to have to prune nearly everything in the garden, but nevertheless, that is what we're doing today. But before I get into it, you can see the garlic mayhem over here. A couple episodes ago, I showed you that the garlic turned out better than last year, but maybe not the best it's ever been. That being said, it still does need to come out of the ground right now, so I'm gonna harvest it real quick and let's just see what we got. Okay, it's a little earlier than I would have wanted to pull it, but I'm gonna pull it anyways because they're mostly died back. I'm honestly not that upset about what I'm getting here, guys. Whoa, this is pretty darn good. Take a look at this first batch. This one especially, that is a pretty nice bulb right there. Okay, whatever variety we put up here has performed very well. This is one with hard necks, right? Yeah, this one was hard necks. That makes sense. Holy crap, there's my hand. That's a pretty big bulb. Okay, now I've got the surgical removal of the garlic in between my volunteer sweet potatoes, which are going to take over this plot pretty soon here. I think I'm gonna plant something else here as well, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna remove the sweet potatoes because why look a gift horse in the mouth, right? We got a nice little crop started here. I mean, I am not upset about this yield. I'm gonna clean it up, put it out on a little area to dry, but look at these. These are some pretty solid heads of garlic here, guys. Look at that guy. Okay, I'm pleasantly surprised by the garlic, but it is time to get into pruning everything that needs pruning in this damn garden, starting with the grapes. The grapes go crazy. As I've said before, last year and seasons prior, I would say we pruned them okay, not amazing. We put out a full grape pruning guide. We went deep into the textbooks of viticulture and we figured it out this season. That being said, they still grow like crazy. So the first thing I need to do, there's a ton of mallow weed down there. I need to weed that out, audit what is actually a grape and what is not a grape, and then prune it from there. So like this is a thistle right here. And the reason why there's so many weeds next to the grape is because we just irrigate it pretty heavily. And these weeds say, okay, thank you for the free water. And they grow like crazy. But like this is a grapevine, this is mallow. So I really need to get this out of here just in case I don't accidentally prune something that shouldn't be pruned. Oh my God, the roots on mallow are crazy. This wasn't even here like 2 weeks ago. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so taking this grapevine right here into account, the structure that we decided on is a spur pruning style where you have a cane coming out this way, left and right on a lower level, left and right on a higher level. So you can see over here, this left shooting or this right shooting cane here, this is great. It's coming out, we're seeing offshoots develop, the tendrils are attaching, and even though we don't have any more trellis material, it is kind of making its way down here. I actually don't have to prune this one whatsoever, save for maybe a little light weeding. When you get on this side though, it's going absolutely bonkers. So this top one coming out to the right also looks really healthy to me. In fact, the only thing I might do is prune off the edge over here. The problem is when we come out to the left, it is going absolutely bonkers. And I need to make sure that I'm not letting too many of these grow out. So what I'm gonna do here is try to isolate this. I've got my main cane, which is like supporting all the growth falling off here. It's hard to see, but it's right about here or so. Then I've got another one coming off right here. You can see it's going straight up. This is not what I wanna have happen. So I'm actually gonna take this one off. And just to be safe, I'm going to leave a couple nodes just in case I need that as an offshoot for next season. But that growth just came off. I'm not worried about that at all. I am worried, however, about this guy, for example, coming out like crazy here. If it's not coming off of this main cane running horizontally and it somehow is sprouted from something else, it's gotta come off. And I only want, by the way, 10 offshoots of this cane. So we've got this guy running. This one seems fine. So there's one right there. I'm actually gonna cut some of the tendrils so they're not tangled on themselves as much. So here's one coming off. Here's another. It's a little bit dead though, so I might take that one out. It's not gonna produce this season. We've got a couple leaves. Here's another cane coming off right here. So this is my second one. Just untangle it a bit. The most annoying thing about grapes is that they're all called like cane, 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 cane. Everything's a cane. Then it becomes a spur, then it becomes a cordon. They're all really botanically the same part of the plant though. There's another one, 4, 5, We got 6, 7. The only reason you don't want more is because you need enough leaf tissue to support the clusters of grapes that are gonna grow. Usually about 10 shoots off of the cane is about as much as you want it to do in this method of pruning. Not gonna damage these leaves too, but these tendrils that are kind of clawing into each other, I am gonna watch out for. Okay, I think I understand what's going on here. We don't need this. That thins that out a little bit. So we actually need to do something kind of crazy. We're gonna take off this completely. So this growth here, which actually was painted, you can tell it was the cordon, which is a more than a 1-year-old cane. But what I forgot is we had one already. So we already have one going out this way that's going to become the cordon for the next year. So I'm gonna let that go. The only problem is these are getting really, really long. Like I don't necessarily want one offshoot of this to be this long. So I am going to just clip this prune down to here. I don't think it's gonna do much for the plant to just be sprawling out that way. A lot of this too is about getting that light penetration. You want these big, beautiful grape leaves to ideally have as much sunlight hitting their surface area as possible if you're gonna get max fruit production. We're gonna keep on looking here. It's an interesting situation here where I didn't really have an offshoot from last season over here. So I'm gonna make it come out this way, and I'll just wrap it around and these tendrils will attach. This one's not gonna produce a ton though because it's in the shade, but I'll take something over nothing for sure. We've got a little guy right here that needs to come off because that's coming from the main vine, which we don't want that to be sprouting up. I'm gonna take all those off. Grape just really wants to grow when it's in season. You gotta keep it under control. Okay, it's a bit of a puzzle to get through all the vines, but I would say we've thinned it out a good amount without reducing production for the year. Some of the plants, like this very large vine here, has sort of taken over everything. I think probably in the future, I would space my grapevines even further apart. These are about 4 to 6 feet apart. And the idea for that is, of course, if you let the canes come out about 10 nodes or so, then that's fine. It's about 2 feet on each side. But honestly, that hasn't been my reality. They just go crazy. So I think I'll space them out further in the future and maybe even run them down this side over here by where the banana is, because this gets a lot more sun. And as you can tell by the fence there's nothing growing over there. So maybe I'll actually put a couple in behind the banana next season. Okay, we are here at the European pear double planting, which if you can look closely, we actually do have some pears on. So I'm not trying to do some crazy amount of pruning here, but this has grown very columnar and starting to get a lot taller than I need it to be. This is maybe 8 feet or so. I'm just gonna start cutting it off right now because it's just much taller than I want it to be. So like take this branch right here, for example. I cut it here last year and it sprouted this much right here. And I see an offshoot coming out right here that's going to get a lot taller. So I need to cut it below that because again, I'm just gonna have to cut this off the next season. So what I'm gonna do is come in, make a heading cut right there. That gives me some playing room to work with for the season, making sure I'm cutting where an offshoot is coming out of the plant and not in to the plant. So in this case, the cut I made might be hard to see, but there is this little branch that's coming out. That is definitely what I want. So in this particular case, let's say right here, it's coming out that way so that I don't have to just do this again the next year or have any sort of poor structure on this tree. Honestly, that's probably fine. I don't want to go more extreme than that. The Asian pear might be hard to see because frankly, this has not been a great performer here in the backyard garden. So if you have Asian pear tips, I'm all ears. That being said, I am still going to bring it down just slightly. Same exact logic, pruning logic as the European pear. I just don't want to have to do it later and might as well get it done right now. Yes, it is sprouting right now. I'm not that concerned about that because as you can tell, it's not really doing that well. So hopefully some structural pruning will help it out a bit. The other thing that's really important with these backyard fruit trees is making sure that you're checking the base every spring season and taking off all of these water sprouts that want to come up. Remember, most backyard fruit trees are grafted, meaning that a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the base here is a non-grafted variety. It's from the rootstock, which means it's just going to suck up energy. And of course, even if it does produce, it's not going to be the fruit that you want. So come through and just take off a lot of this low growth. And it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world, but it will give your plant a bit of a boost. Okay, now we're at, I would say, a truly somewhat neglected part of the orchard. This is 3 plants that we kind of forget about every season, but they do produce. So these are my 2 jujubes, Lee and Lang. Obviously, this jujube, whether it's Lee or Lang, I don't know, has seen better days. I don't know that I love the structure here. Something happened and it got damaged right here. So that's why it kind of branches off in this weird fashion. It also is just way too tall again. Similar story here at the Epic Homestead. I'm gonna do a crazy cut here, just spiked myself. It's part of why I think jujubes are slightly annoying. I'm gonna do a heading cut here. It does seem crazy to do all this pruning at this time of the season, but as I've learned from Tom Spellman, my fruit tree mentor, you can prune fruit trees just about any time as long as you're willing to pay the trade-off. And in this case, it might be a little bit lower yield on my jujube, but I have 2 of them, so I'm not that worried about it. Let's get that off. Okay, that's already looking much stronger. What you'll notice on the jujube though is there's crazy amount of water sprouts coming down below, as well as a lot of offshoots coming out this way. Honestly, if I was being a little more ruthless, I might even come down here, but for now, we'll let that be. Okay, for some reason or another, I've got garlic, 3 garlic growing in this, this little tree surround. Not a good harvest to them. Ow! Ooh! Man, jujube is an annoying plant sometimes. Loves to spike you. Let's get these out. Maybe they're leeks? I'm not sure, but I have no idea how those got in there. Okay, it's time to get these water sprouts out. This is a very, very sharp plant, guys. So if you ever do grow it, just keep that in mind. I can't really get in here without gloves, so I'm just gonna kind of do a mow down prune until I can actually see the base. Jujube is a great plant though. I mean, it's like such a delicious fruit. The way that I've historically enjoyed them is I'll dehydrate them and they kind of are more like a chewy, like weird apple, I guess is the best way to put it. And those of you who've followed Epic for a while, you know I'm not the biggest apple fan. So if I'm saying it tastes good and it tastes like an apple, you know it's a pretty good plant. Let's get all these out of the ground. Jujube just spreads like an absolute monster. That's why I think if you are gonna grow it, I would have it in a container like this. These are our tree surrounds. It's just not wise to put these in the ground. They'll spread like crazy in most climates. These are like all maybe seeds from a jujube that fell. But either way, I'm talking like dozens of offshoots here. Okay, we're gonna hit the ice cream bean now. Actually, one of our favorite trees here at the homestead. Woo! Up on the gorilla stepladder. Been loving this, but it grows like crazy. And you could be so ruthless about pruning this thing, guys, because it really does not care. It's gonna keep growing no matter what you try to do. So Paul and the team did a very aggressive prune last season, and as you can tell, it's been coming back in epic fashion. So I'm just gonna bring this height down again. Inga edulis. Really fantastic plant for a lot of reasons. It is a legume, so it's a nitrogen fixer, believe it or not. So if you grew it just for that purpose, it'd be kind of an interesting plant. I want to bring it down to about this height, which is maybe 6-7 feet or so. So I'll just pop around and it's going to come back even within this season, let alone seasons to come. If I lose a couple pods, again, not the end of the world, I have a lot of them. Okay, I could go a little harder, but this seems pretty good to me. Okay, we're out here in the thing I talk too much about, the citrus hedge. What I've found to be the most effective as far as pruning fruit trees close together in the way that we've created, I would say a pretty impressive 14 citrus hedge here, is you treat it basically as one long shrub. And what that means is the slower growing citrus, like this guy right here, must be respected. You can't allow the bear's lime right here, and I believe one of my navel oranges here, to crowd this out. Otherwise, it's kind of like a compounding effect or a downward spiral. It's just not gonna get enough light to photosynthesize. It will not grow faster. It'll be even smaller. These will get even bigger. All of a sudden, you're in a pretty bad spot. So I treat the lowest tree in the hedge as my prune 2 height, meaning that this bear's lime needs to come down about a foot or so. So in this particular case, what I would do is I would start by making cuts like this, bringing this all the way down, and of course trying to make strategic cuts, but with citrus, I've found that you can be pretty ruthless with it. It really does come back in full fashion. I mean, I've pruned this bear's lime like maybe 10 times at this point, and the structure of it's still really nice. So this one is gonna take a while. Sometimes with a PJ like this, prune job, you really want to take a little bit of a break to make sure you're not going prune crazy, which I'm known to do. The guys, Jacques and Paul, always make fun of me for wanting to prune everything all the time. So I've done an initial kind of leveling out. It's not where I want it to be. I may come back and more methodically do it to make sure that I'm not taking off any growth that I don't really want to. But again, with citrus, it's really not that big a deal. Most of the growth is in the lower canopy as far as fruit grows. As long as you keep that nice tight canopy, it's actually very unlike the peach, which I'll show you. So in the case of my stone fruit, which by the way, I'm very excited to say this is the first year I'm getting some plums. First year ever. Very excited about that. The prune job did pretty well on this one. The nectarine, and then of course the Ava's Pride peach. We pruned this one very hard last season. I think we actually took about 3 feet off the top here. As you can tell, it is fruiting. So it's actively fruiting right now. I'm not going to prune it, but I may do some fruit thinning. I did a lot of that in the preseason by actually taking the tips that were producing little fruiting nodes and just tipping them off a bit. So as you can tell, like I only have 2 peaches on this one. That's fine. I don't need to actually prune that off. This one I only have, looks like 2 plus maybe 1 back there. Not a big deal. Nice sturdy stem with about 4 or 5, not a big deal. So I am going to prune this, but I'm gonna wait until it's dropped all of this fruit, which would be probably in the next month and a half or so. I also did do a massive prune on the pomegranates, and you can tell they came back in full force. It's kind of hard to tell, at least if you're me, because I'm red-green colorblind, but there's a proliferation of pomegranate flowers. Like I'm talking maybe 10 times more than I've ever had. I think that's really good for the upcoming season, and I'm excited to see in fall what we get. I can't tell you how good it feels to come out in the sun and just clip away, just garden away, guys. And hopefully this was an informative look at the way I'm thinking about pruning some of the stuff in the orchard. Highly encourage you guys to get some fruit trees in the garden. If you haven't, this is definitely the year. Of course, we ship and sell live fruit trees. We'll deliver to your door. If there's one that you can't find at a local nursery, we'll do that. I'll put the link in the description. But until next time, I'm gonna keep clipping away. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.